So when I was 8 years old, my parents separated. And when I say that, I don't mean like my mom got lost at the mall or something. I mean they separated. My father had an affair, and he moved out of the house. And there was a day that I will never forget. It has stayed with me all these years. I was playing in my room with Matchbox cars or something. Doorbell rang, and I thought maybe it's a neighbor or friend. I run downstairs, open the door, and I'm really surprised to see my father standing there. And he doesn't look happy. Now, understandably, this was not a good time in his life. He had good reasons not to be happy, but I looked at him. He did not look happy. I did not look happy. I did not know what the rules were. It was probably the first time he had ever been to the house since moving out. Complicated. So I didn't know what to do. We had a very strange moment for both of us, and I went and got my mom and just got out of the situation. I went back to my room, and I didn't even think about it. It did not faze me. I was 8 years old, and part of the magic of being a child is you have no context. You don't know what's weird or strange or what's going to mess you up for the rest of your life. It's not like I went into my diary and wrote, "Today is the first day of the prophecy, and 35 years from now it is foretold that you will be in front of 500 strangers telling the story of this day." That's not what happened. And that's my first lesson for you about writing about your family, or writing about yourself, or writing about anything to do with people. And that is, our understanding of memory is really bad. Now, we operate in the world assuming we understand what we remember. That's how we understand who we are, and what we're going to do, and where we're going, and what we had to get from the supermarket or whatever. But our understanding of memory is really bad. And we believe that the past is solid, that it's fixed, it's history, and that's not true. I did not know on that day that later on in my life, that event and that moment would stay with me, and I'd think about it again and again, and it would lead me to actually write a book, in part based on that memory. So the first lesson you have to understand to write about your family is to become very curious about how memory works and how it functions. That it's not the way we think it functions. We distort memory all the time, and an event can happen late in your life that changes the meaning of the events that happened in your past. Now, my second bit of advice for you about how to write about your family is how we answer the question, who are you? We have a lot of practice in our lives answering that question. You go to a party or a bar or a job interview, who are you? And my answer, well, I'm Scott Berkun. I'm from New York. I play basketball. I write books. And we all have a lot of practice in giving that answer, but we forget that that's not a legitimate answer to the question. Who are you now? When I tell you my name is my answer, I didn't pick my name. That's something my parents gave me before they knew who I was. And where I am from, even if I'm talking about things in my past that I chose, I'm talking about that guy back there in my past, and I'm bringing the past with me into the present. And once you start writing about yourself and your family, you're going to be doing a lot of that, justifying things just because they happened. The most legitimate answer, I think, to give when someone asks you at a party, someone you've never met before, who are you? The most legitimate answer is, I don't know. I just got here. That guy was kind of stupid. Maybe you're a better person, and I'll be a different person now. And to recognize that our answer to that question is based on a story from the past means you start to become open. And to write well, you have to be open and pay attention to those gaps. So my third bit of advice to you about how to write about your family is actually about the writing part. People get fixated on the romance around writing. It's what I do for a living, and the only way I'm able to do it is by being very practical about it. Writing is just making words and putting them in lines. Everything, it's just lists. A sentence is a list of words. A paragraph is a list of sentences. A page is a list of paragraphs, and on it goes. It's just lists. And the most important list for you to make, if you want to write about yourself or your family or your ex-boyfriend or your husband or whatever, a list of memories. What are the good times you remember about this relationship? What are the bad times? What are the confusing times you still haven't sorted out yet, like my story about my father? Make that list, and that list will come quickly because memories are fueled by emotion. We like to think it's photographic. It's not. It's fueled by emotion. It'll be a rush. Wow. But then you have to break down that list and use the skills of writing to get the nuances and the subtleties and the shading of what that memory means. What did that memory mean when it happened? Now, on the day that happened, was it important? Is it important now? Why? How has it changed? And then the second question you can ask is, what were the people there thinking about that memory when it happened? What's their point of view? Because it'll end up being very different than yours. There's another thing you have to be open to write about yourself or your family, that your memory is not as accurate as you think it is. Now, the last tip I can give you about writing about yourself or your family is to read. Anyone who wants to write any kind of book should be reading books of that kind. You can absorb all kinds of tricks and tips and approaches that will help you. So my gift to you, this is my most recent book. It's about my story, my memories. It will help you if you're interested in writing this kind of stuff. There's 100 copies waiting for you on the way out. You can grab one if you want. The proceeds from the book are being donated to Big Brothers, Big Sisters, which now you know why you should care about. Thank you. Okay.